Izuku Shigaraki by Fangirl48 on AO3. Chapter 19. Who knew the circus was in town? May held onto Mimi's hand tightly as the sisters made their way to the inn. Neither of them had seen Izuku yesterday at the park, but thought nothing of it. Maybe the curly-haired boy had gotten busy and lost track of time, like May did when she was inventing. However, when he didn't show up again today, Mimi got worried, claiming that something had to be wrong. Izuku wouldn't leave without saying goodbye, she insisted, grabbing the bottom of May's shirt. He promised me he would say goodbye. May herself wasn't sure what Charming would or wouldn't do. Sure, she liked the boy. Izuku was smart, and talking to him was like tapping into old, forgotten knowledge May hadn't known existed. Seriously, she had never thought about putting biometric scanners on her babies before he asked. All the chaos people could do if they just got a hold of one of May's precious creations. But the most important thing was that he made Mimi sad. And if there was one thing May Hatsumi would never forgive, it was someone who hurt her little sister. Her classmates from school had learned this lesson all too well recently. Not to mention some sketchy-looking guys had been hanging around the park watching the sisters since yesterday. They could just be people who recognized Mimi from the video and wanted to meet Izuku. But something told the older Hatsumi that wasn't the case. Stepping through the automatic doors, the sisters made their way to the front desk. The woman on duty took one look at them and smiled. Here to thank the young man, are you? May's eyes narrowed in suspicion. How did you... I've seen the video, she interrupted, looking down at the younger girl and giving a strange smile. For what it's worth, I'm sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that given your, condition. May thought, realizing what was happening. The woman pitied Mimi. She looked at the girl and saw a fragile doll that needed to be protected. It shouldn't surprise May anymore. Mimi was quirkless. Putting on her best show woman smile, May bowed and thanked the woman, keeping up the appearance until the room door opened and her favorite hobo stood there. Powerloader's future headache, he greeted, looking at May and then glancing at the younger Hatsumi, a soft smile barely there. And Mimi. How can I help you today? Izuku! Mimi yelled, pushing past the man and running towards the boy sitting in the furthest corner of the room, staring out the window. Mimi grabbed onto the boy with her might, tears springing from her eyes. I was so worried! Izuku turned his head, giving May a good look at the dark circles under his eyes. I'm sorry, Mimi. I haven't been feeling well. Are you sick? No, Izuku said, shaking his head. Just some old memories making it hard to sleep. May brightened up. I can help. Grandpa has been teaching me about plants that help you sleep. Has he now? Izuku said, moving over a little so May could sit next to him. Tell me what you've been learning. May nodded and started talking about the different plants she had learned about. With her sister distracted, May turned and looked at the three men. What happened? Don't know how it... Gran Torino began before his cheeks were gripped between powerful fingers. What are you doing? My, such plump cheeks you have for someone your age. May grinned, stretching the skin slightly. Reminds me of mochi. You should take care of that, so someone with a hammer doesn't mistake it and pound your face with it instead. Toshinori and Aizawa watched the interaction closely. Gran Torino just lifted an eyebrow, his cheeks still trapped. Are you threatening me? Oh, no, I would never do that. May grinned, larger, letting go of the retired hero's face. Just giving you a small warning. You never know who you might come across late one night. The pair stared at each other for moments before Grant laughed. The girl had a pair on her own. The last person to talk to him like that was Nana. I like you. Toshinori breathed a sigh of relief as Aizawa coughed. Now that you're finished, warning, Grant. I'm sure you and Mimi have, to be getting home. No, sir, May said, shaking her head, dreadlocks whipping back and forth. Mom's working late tonight. As long as I have us home in time for homework and bed, we're free to do whatever. The underground hero's eyes narrowed. What about dinner? That's what convenience stores are for. Mei piped up before turning back to Izuku to continue their conversation. Out of the mouths of babies, May said, wiping away her fake tear. But you're growing girls, Toshinori said with concern evident in his voice, looking at the pair. You need proper meals, not store-bought stuff. Toshinori's right, Grant said, looking at the girl. It was easy for heroes to get lost in the work and live off convenience store foods and take out. It wasn't a bad thing, but eventually your poor diet caught up to you, and usually right in the middle of a battle. You young people these days. You two have no room to talk, Aizawa hissed, fisting both men with a look. One of you eats nothing but takoyaki, while the other is on a specialized diet. My injury, hey? Grant Torino jumped up, pointing at Aizawa. Nice to meet you, Mr. I live on coffee and jelly packs. I'm Kettle. Aizawa looked away, his ears a little red. I never said I was a model on healthy eating either. Why don't they just stay for dinner then? Izuku's voice rang out. The three males looked at the boy in surprise. The inn always makes plenty of food. Naomi looked uncomfortable. We don't want to intrude. Nonsense, Toshinori said, placing one hand on Mei's shoulder. We'd love to have you both stay for dinner. My friend Tsukuyachi called earlier. He'll get us some donuts. Both sisters suddenly perked up at the mention of treats. Okay, Mei nodded, fixing Izuku with a look. But only if you tell us what's wrong. Izuku looked surprised for a moment, before he felt something grip him a little tighter. Looking down, he saw Mei's chuckles, turning white as she held onto his shirt. Please, Izuku, the girl pleaded. You helped me. Izuku sighed at the determined look in Mei's large eyes. We came to Nabu to look for my family. Are they not here? Mei asked. Izuku shook his head. They are. They're. Mei knew the second she saw the tears starting to fall what had happened. Once upon a time, she had seen her mother try to explain the exact same thing to her. Walking over to the boy, the inventor dropped to her knees and pulled him into a hug, turning her head to look at her sister. But remember when we talked about Dad? Mei spoke softly, feeling the tears soak into her shoulders. How you couldn't see him because he went to another place? Mei nodded. How you couldn't see him because he went to another place? Mei nodded. Did Izuku's family go away like Dad did? Yeah, Izuku spoke, pulling away from Mei, wiping his eyes. You know that graveyard at the big house at the corner of the town? That's where my family is. Both Hatsumi sisters looked shocked. You mean the Demon's Sanctuary? The what? Gran Torino asked. The Demon Sanctuary, Mei explained, looking at the men. It's an old story around here. They say that a demon lived in the woods a long time ago and vowed that if anyone disturbed his family's resting place, he would destroy the town. No one goes there because they're all scared, Mimi continued. Except for Grandpa, but that's because the demon gave him special permission. Toshinori felt his throat had suddenly gone dry as he looked at the sisters. "Could you tell us your grandfather's address? I think we need to talk to him." Gran Torino impatiently hit the doorbell again with his cane. Toshinori stood next to his teacher, lurking nervous, praying that someone was inside. He could have come himself, but Grant had insisted. Something about the other gravestones and answers? "What's taking so damn long?" "Sir, please." "Hold your horses, I'm coming." A voice came before the door opened, revealing an old man with a strange teardrop mark on his face. "Can I help you?" Gran Torino looked at the other man and dropped his cane in shock. Quirk activating, he prepared to lay a strong kick on the man. He would have succeeded if Toshinori hadn't activated All for One and grabbed a hold of his teacher. "Let me go, you fool!" Grant struggled in the number one hero's arms. "Don't you know who that is?" "Grant, please come." All Might began as a fist came out and hit his side. Coughing, the hero deflated again. "Toshinori!" Grant gasped, turning around, looking ashamed, realizing where he had hit. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Toshinori?" the man said, eyes squinting as he pulled out a pair of glasses from inside his shirt. As soon as they were on, his eyes widened as soon as they landed on the jet hero. "Gran Torino, is that you?" "Ringmaster," Grant grunted, crossing his arms. "Been a long time." "Ringmaster? If you're here, then this is—" Old eyes landed on Toshinori, who gave a weak smile in return as he waved. "I see. Well, come in, you two. I'll make us some tea." The man turned around and walked back into the house. Toshinori went to follow, but Grant stopped him. "Whatever you do, don't take your eyes off of the rings he's wearing. His quirk lets him technically control them." Grant stomped into the house a second later, Toshinori following a second later, wondering if the retired hero had not noticed that the man hadn't been wearing any rings. Neither saw the old man when they entered the kitchen. Toshinori sat down while Gran Torino started snooping around the room, opening doors and cupboards. The sound of the door creaking open altered the pair to their host, returning and had the jet hero in a chair next to Toshinori instantly, almost as if he hadn't been there from the start. Ringmaster, as Grant called him, shuffled towards the table, a large book in his arms. Without a word, he placed it on the table and sat down. "What? No tea?" Grant snipped. "It's seeping," the man said, his gold eyes amused as he looked at the retired hero, smirking. "You got old." Grant bristled. "Like you have any room to talk, you old thief." The man chuckled lowly and looked at Toshinori before pulling the book to him. Opening it, he flipped through a few pages before finding what he was looking for and showed it to the pair. It was an old newspaper clipping showing a younger-looking version of the man in front of them. He was dressed true to his name, as what you would see the ringmaster of a circus wear as he fought against Nana? "She was something else, that Nana Shiromori," the man said, getting up and going into the kitchen. "Hell to fight, I'll tell you that." Toshinori reached, shaking hands out towards the book, looking at the woman as he started flipping the pages. Article headlines declared that the name Circus, as he knew upcoming villain group. A strong woman robbed not only an armored car, but took the entire car for good measure. The deadly dancer of the sky, Doll, committed a daring high-rise theft that left many speechless and questioning how. Beast's brutal assault against police and heroes alike, holding them back single-handedly so his teammates could escape. Whoever had taken the photo was able to capture the exact moment where a young Gran Torino's leg came down on the man's arm. Nana herself was shown on the next page, her cape shielding body littered with wounds, as her face off against a knife-wielding bloody jester. On and on the pages went as crimes got more daring, more public, and more violent until suddenly they just stopped. Quite the resume, wouldn't you say? The man said, placing 3 cups on the table. Made me quite the important villain back in the day. Made you a bloody nuisance is what it did, Gran Torino said, sniffing the tea, trying to see if it was poisoned. Thought you died after. Yes, about that. There's something I've always wanted to say to you two. The man spoke, coming around the table. Grant tensed, grabbing the teacup prepared to use as a distraction, expecting an attack from the old rogue. Instead, the man just got on the ground and bowed deeply to the pair, his forehead touching the ground. I'm so sorry for my weakness. If I had just called All for One that day instead of trying to stop them myself, maybe I could have saved her. Toshinori heard the cup crack in Grant's hand. I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness of either of you. I don't expect you to forgive me after what happened, but please, the old villain said, lifting his head, sorrow and regret on his face. Please believe me when I say I tried to stop them. There was a heavy feeling in the atmosphere for a long time. Toshinori didn't know what was going on and was too afraid to ask. The man stayed there, kneeling on the floor in front of them the entire time, Grant watching him before finally speaking softly. Kotaro told the police he heard his dad scream when a name in a funny hat grabbed him and ran out of the house. It was you, wasn't it? The man flinched and sat up, nodding. All for One has this rule. You can fight a hero, you can kill them and maim them, but their children and their family are off limits. For a man who'd called the first demon, it was a strangely kind of thing. I don't understand, Toshinori said, understanding just who these people were. This was the leader of the group that had killed Nana's husband. All for One, he never shanked in the attack, the former ringmaster swore. I don't know who told the others about Shomura's family, or why, but All for One never ordered it. The cup finally broke in Grant's hand as he looked at the man. Tell me everything you remember about that day. Right now. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this end screen thingy because it makes it easier for me, and I have another use for my VTuber. It's not a VTuber, it's a PNG tuber or whatever it's called. But this was an interesting chapter, right? Because it gives perspective, right? The whole rule that All for One has, the whole no killing children and the families of them. And then the author's note. It's really interesting, and it gives, as I said, character to All for One. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. It is interesting, and I cannot wait to see the next chapters. We are reaching an end, but do not worry, I am doing the sequel of this one. So, as always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.